Hello, I'm just going to make a quick non-stick because I'm going live any minute now.
Right, could you, while you're coming in, please bring in the veg box. This has just arrived. Yeah. It's doing well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only the butter beans in that I moved into a different. But I think the food might have been a bit too rich. Might have been a problem. So.
But yeah, everything else. Your new veg beans.
Hopefully.
Yeah, sorry, Lulu's been back and forth across there.
Yeah, I've got a different packing. I got another one. I got another one of those type stuff, but I didn't make that. Yeah. But there's quite a lot of carrots.
Yeah. Excellent.
Hopefully it'll all work. And then I can sell you my own bread. Right, let's just see whether all of this is working. So, good morning. Hopefully you can hear me. If so, just there's a chat or comments. It's either down below or to the side. Just say hello. And whilst we just Right, I've got my coffee, so, well, cup of non-stick. It's that one, not this one or that one. Oh, mouse. Tech's a wonderful thing. Just waiting for a little bit longer, give it time for a few more people to get in. Not everybody's here, but first thing in the morning. So I'm just going to wait for a couple of ticks just to see people arrive. It might be a good time to just quickly get yourself a cuppa or something whilst you're waiting. And I clean my glasses, then I can see what I'm doing. Oh. So we have a few people just waiting to see if we're going to get any more. So we have a few people here. Just give it a couple of ticks. Do feel free to just say hello in the chat or comments. And I've decided to stay with without the screen sharing. So I was still going to be just myself and my me chatting, rather than making it look a bit too much like a class or anything like that. So the way to communicate or to make this interactive is just if at any point you have a question or you want to say something or you have a comment, just drop it into the live chat or comments. Oh, morning, Sean. It will be really great. Now, the thing is, and this took me a while to get used to last week, is there's a little bit of a delay between me and you. The stream is about 20 seconds, so it might just take me a while to see the comments. So there will be a few quiet pauses, etc., whilst I'm just waiting for those. So I've got my coffee. Oh, in my one of my favourite mugs. It's going to be a bit like last week, which was our first seminar, in the fact that we'll have this live seminar and then I will post up a variant of it onto the YouTube page later. I've got quite a bit on for the next couple of days, so it might be on the weekend. And that will come along with some kind of PowerPoint so you can revisit what I've said and rush through it or not. Hello, Royston. So we'll probably get going now. So if I'm looking slightly the wrong way, it's just because I'm moving things around on my computer screens, and because I'm disorganized, they're all over the place. So today, I want to just look at resilience and taking notice, and then we do these things in two parts. Part one is to do with well-being and things that you can do, especially in this lockdown, and understanding what that means. And part two is like what we're calling our homework helper series, and this time we're going to be looking at art and photography. They sort of match together. They're things that you can do, but they're also things that you can help with other people in the house, children, if you're having to homeschool at the moment. No, I'm not going to deal with anything particular in terms of curriculum or actual content. The schools should be doing that, and if they're not, then please contact your school or leave a comment here and I can give some advice. But what I'm going to do is come up with some methods and ideas that sometimes we just forget about, and sometimes some simple ideas. So, okay, and I'd just like to thank Michelle Verberio and the NHS, whose resources and materials I've drawn heavily on this week. So, today we're going to look at resilience and resilience against stress and taking notice. So we're going to start by examining and understanding what resilience is before we move on and look at ways of developing our mental strength and to help us become more resilient. We will then move on to look at take notice, which is one of the 5 steps to well-being, and we will examine how taking notice can be employed to enhance resilience as well as enhancing our personal well-being. So, sort of some little house rules here. Once again, for those people who have just joined us, please just introduce yourself in the comments. I tend to use the comments as a way of providing feedback or for your input during these webinars. And we've decided to stay without the complicated screen sharing, just to keep it nice and simple and a little bit more informal. So for those people who know me, it will seem strange that I'm doing all the talking. I guess sometimes that's why some of you are deliberately watching these, because you know that that's not how I do things. So hello, Ange. Lovely to see you. Right. So just some rules. Please use the comment section or to add comments and ideas. It is your webinar, so please feel free to take part. 2, there are no stupid questions, so please ask. If you want to remain anonymous, then please just sit in the background and enjoy yourself. I've just, if you make a comment, your name will appear by it, but please don't feel as though you have to make a comment or you have to say hello. You can just sit there and laugh at me or enjoy it if you want. Enjoy yourself, have coffee and whatever else whilst the webinar takes place. It's yours, it's your time. Don't feel stressed about it. Just have coffee. I'm going to have coffee. I'll probably stop and have coffee halfway through. Right. Be nice. Please avoid any bad language and nasty comments about other people in the chats. We just don't need that. And please do respect other people's opinions. As we talked about last week, the important thing is you can have your own opinion. It can be different to something else, so somebody else's opinion. And the fact that other people have opinions is fine. Recognizing that is good. And actually, no, I don't have cake today. Terribly bad, especially as it was my wedding anniversary yesterday. You'd have thought that there'd be cake, which is interesting because the last rule is provide me with cake. This is my favorite rule. It's because I made the rules. I don't think anybody's really paying attention to that one. So I'm going to put out to you. I'm going to ask you, what is resilience? What do you think resilience is in terms of well-being or helping with well-being? So I know that there's a 20-second delay. So yes, I am sad I don't have cake. I have 20-second delay whilst I give you a chance to answer some of the questions. And I'd just like to say I'm quite pleased because we seem to have 10 people, which is pretty good. And hopefully they'll build as we go. So if anybody would like to have a pop at what they think resilience is, I'll drink a little bit of coffee and just give a little bit of a chance for somebody to. I've been a little bit sneaky and just looking at my emails when I shouldn't be looking at my emails. I should be enjoying the outside space. Oh. Ooh. Here's a good one from Boyston, and actually pretty true, isn't it? Resilience is about being able to cope. It's something that we all know about, but is actually not always that easy. Great. I'll just give a little bit longer just in case anybody else wants to pop one in there. Oh, and do feel free at any time to drop something in the comments. The sad face that I haven't got any cake or almost put me off track. It doesn't take much to get me on a tangent. So. So as Royston said, is to be able to cope is a really good one. And that is basically it in a nutshell. I've got a definition here that I've taken from medical experts. Resilience is the capacity to recover from difficulties, and it is often noted as mental toughness. There are some differences between mental toughness and resilience, but that gets quite complicated, and you'll need a really clever psychologist to help you through those. But as far as we're concerned, there is a link between the two. Okay, so think a little bit. You'll notice that there's thinking a little bit and then consider something and maybe pop some comments in. It's because, I like to sit back and watch other people do the work because I'm lazy. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Okay, so how resilient are you? When life knocks you down, can you pick yourself up again and adapt to the new circumstances? At the same time, I'm looking at the PowerPoint that I've created for when I record this, and I'm just correcting my typos. Or do you find yourself completely overwhelmed with little confidence in your ability to deal with the challenge? Just think about that just for a little bit. Feel free to drop a comment in if you have one. Whilst I just wait to see if anybody, whilst you think about that, or owns up, and there's nothing wrong with owning up or not owning up, because there are many times when life knocks me down, and it takes a long time to get back up again, and sometimes you get up quickly. I think it's a little bit different for everybody. So whilst I just let you think about that, on this YouTube channel, you'll find that we have last week's webinar variant of that and the homework helper. There are also a series of other little videos from independent learning and lifelong learning, because that's what we actually are with an educational provider. Feel free to have a look at those in your own time or ask us, drop in some comments. So sometimes we don't have much choice but to get back to it, which is absolutely true. But it does knock confidence, and it becomes more difficult to manage when something similar happens again, which is what Anne says, and that's exactly true. So what we're going to look at is how we can actually develop more resilience to improve and to assist in our chances to bounce back up again, and to therefore cope with difficult issues, and just to be able to cope. So all right, so first step is, he says, pressing his mouse, don't panic. I've got a slide from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy here. Don't panic. Yeah, don't panic. There are many practical strategies for building mental resilience. It is a quality that can be, not need, can be learned and honed through practice. So that's good news. The first step is to understand resilience and what it means to be resilient. And then you can begin to slowly and steadily develop personal resilience. It's really, you get a lot of people say, oh, be more resilient. But until you really know what resilience is and what it looks like and what makes it up, it's a bit hard to know what to aim for. So we're going to try to break down resilience so you can recognize what it is and how we can do something about it. Great comment there from Ange. Alternatively, something just wash over you that isn't an issue. It does depend upon your feelings on your time. Absolutely. So some people bounce back from personal failures and setbacks, while others find it much more difficult. And the truth is, in fact, at times, everyone will find it difficult to bounce back from time to time at times. Our resilience is often tested when life circumstances change unexpectedly and usually for the worse. A death in the family, a loss of a job. Also, your major change was being caused by this lockdown. That's not going to be helping. Knowing that this is the first step to developing personal resilience, and knowing that it's hard to bounce back, knowing that life can knock you down, is step one. If you can see that, then you can start doing something about it. Oops, jumped up loads of slides there. Right. So, mental toughness, which I quickly mentioned before, refers to the ability to stay strong in the face of adversity. It is being able to keep our focus and direction regardless of any difficulties we encounter. Yeah, I'm not sure we're all that tough. Mental toughness begins when you choose to take notice of what is passing through your mind, and then you start to separate yourself from the impact that those are having, and then you can identify those thoughts from a slightly different point of view. It's like just stepping out of yourself a little bit and going, oh, look, all of that's happening. And just being slightly outside of it. Think of yourself looking inside the box as opposed to being in the box. And being aware of that can then help you to find some, even if it's just a little bit, of determination to develop an optimistic thought about those situations. So something really bad happens. You lose your job and it's everything's gone wrong and you all fall apart. Well, let's just stop and sit back and think and try to just separate yourself from it for a minute and then start look for something, even if it's slightly tiny. The fact that, I might be able to have a look at another type of job. I might be able to consider a different approach. I might not have to deal with an uncomfortable workplace for a little bit. It gives you something to just start to build from. It's all about little steps. So, a chap called Turner, very interesting. I've enjoyed reading his work this week. Comes up with the 4 C's of mental toughness, which I quite like, and these are quite good to think about. Control, commitment, challenge, and confidence. Control, this is the extent to which you are in control of your life. This can also be seen as your self-esteem, which is something we looked at last week. High control means you feel comfortable in yourself and have a good sense of who you are. There are going to be times when we all have that, but there are going to be times when we don't. And being able to control your emotions, or at least aspects of your emotions, not emotions, means you are less likely to be controlled by your emotional state. So we know that our ability to control what is happening in our life is affected when things go wrong. And if we just separate that out as, okay, so we've lost control there, and that is affecting our ability to control our emotions. We know that control is an issue. Commitment is to effectively set goals and to constantly achieve them. It is actually one of the easiest skills to master and is one we're going to come back to later. Good commitment helps you to adhere to effective personal routines. Low commitment means if you find it hard to prioritize or adapt to routines and you are likely to be easily distracted. Control and commitment combined equate to mental toughness, which enables and assists in your ability to bounce back from setbacks. They form a method of recovery. So by going back to that control, you realize which little bit of control you're losing. There'll be lots of different aspects of control that you lose. You look at an aspect of control you're losing, and then with commitment, you then think about, right, I'm going to pick on one of those and I'm going to try to do something about it. And you're going to set yourself some targets. Setting targets is great because once you achieve a target, you have got a brick that you can build on. And the more bricks you build, the stronger your wall. You Pink Floyd the wall here, but I think I do that somewhere else. Right. Challenge. Challenge is the extent to which you are driven and are adaptable. High level means you're driven to achieve your best and you can see challenges as opportunities. Low level means you see change as a threat and therefore avoid challenging situations out of a fear of failure. Change is something that is always a problem for everybody. Change means things are going to be different. Our world is going to be turned upside down. It's really hard to accept change without any worries or concerns. So knowing this and remembering this is key, because once you recognize this in action, then you can start to look for an opportunity. So when you see change coming and that you're scared of it, rather than just hide from it, you can go, right, which bit am I going to adapt to? Pick one little section again. And then you can start seeing every single challenge as something that also has a possibility, something that can be a positive way of looking at it. Confidence. Confidence is your self-belief. It is your ability to be productive and capable. It is important to remember that there are times when we are all productive. Therefore, there are times when we all have confidence. The higher your confidence, the more you can take setbacks in your stride, whilst also maintaining your resolve. Low confidence means you are easily unsettled by setbacks and doubt your own capability. I'm sorry, cough. So if we just come back into that and then think, well, there are times when we do have confidence. So if there are times when we have confidence, we know we can achieve. And we just need to think about those and think, oh, well, I'll get a little bit more confident at something else, because the more confident across different things, the better and stronger I am to adapt to changes as they occur. Challenge and confidence are your ability to identify and seize opportunities. These let you see something and then think, I'll go for that. And that then takes you back to the other two and the planning. They enable you to see situations as opportunities which you can embrace and explore. If you're confident in yourself, then you are more likely to convert challenges into successes. And that's where your resilience is really becoming stronger. So if I just do a mini conclusion of where we are. To put it simply, resilience can be cultivated through willpower and discipline. There are many different strategies which can enable this. The key is to identify ways that are likely to work well for you. The first step is to recognize what it is and what it is to be resilient, which we've had a look at. You can't achieve these if you do not know what they are or what they look like. So sometimes when you see somebody else who's resilient or bounces back from something, you just have to stop, step out your side and look at them and go, well, that's resilience. That's what it looks like. If you know what it looks like, you know where you're trying to get to. Once you start to identify these, you can then plan methods which will work for you. We're going to look at that in a minute. And action planning is a really useful method to help get you started on this. Something we started last week. So, okay. So, methods to develop mental strength. 1, teach or learn a specific skill. We all have some skills. All we have to do is learn a new skill. The more skills we have, the more mastery and more things we have, the more confident we become. What's also interesting is teaching a skill that we have to somebody else. That's really great considering the lockdown at the moment. You don't have to do this face to face. You can do this via video conferencing. Teach somebody how to make a better cup of tea. Teach somebody how to make coffee. Teach somebody how to do a chore in the house. It doesn't matter. If you're teaching it, you're actually becoming more confident and you're also sharing that skill with others. Let children or people make mistakes. Our world has stopped accepting, oh no, don't do that. That's wrong. Do this. Well, make the mistake. There's nothing wrong with mistakes. We become too worried about them. But if we start making mistakes and going, oh, I did that wrong, then you can then put it right. A lot easier. A lot easier to put something right once you realize, well, that's what it's like when it goes wrong. It doesn't matter because I can put it right. Royston just said the problem with confidence is you find it most in your comfort zone. Yes, you do. Hello, Alona. Yes, you do find it more in your comfort zone. What I'm trying to get through, and I might not be succeeding, and please let me know if I'm not, is when you're in your confidence zone and when you're in your comfort zone, think about what that looks like. Think about what that feels like, because then you can go, I'm not in my confidence zone here. This is the difference. I'm sorry. This is what confidence feels like. This is what it doesn't feel like. Now I can take a little bit and try to move it across. I can try to mirror that, and that helps us. Hopefully that's what I'm trying to get across, Royston. If I'm not, then please let me know. Yes, we can learn from our actions and reactions and grow braver. Yes, takes time, step by step. Right. Develop healthy self-talk. Well, there's nothing wrong talking and developing a more healthy approach to self-talking. Talk to yourself. It can help you sometimes when you're just too busy trying to play ideas in your head. You just can't step away from that emotion that's in there. By stepping outside and talking to yourself, you actually then put this new line of communication, this new different approach, and it helps you sometimes to just step slightly outside of your emotions, and that allows you to start thinking and saying things that can open up a new approach. Here's number 4, and this is a toughie. Encourage facing fears head on. Oh, hi Kerry, lovely to see you. Encouraging others to face fears or encouraging yourself to face fears is really quite good. Yes, a small win is a great reward for recovery. That's what we're trying to get to. Stop stealing my seminar. Oh, I encouraged you to. I forget that. Encourage yourself to face a fear, even if it's a small fear, because once you've pushed yourself into that, then you are recognizing that you can attack change, which is a really good start. So accept that you're going to be uncomfortable at times and allow that. There are situations where we don't feel comfortable and we avoid them. Well, just sitting in that uncomfortable space and being part of that uncomfortable for a little bit helps you to just start controlling that exposure, which we'll come to soon. Build character. Oh, here we go. Build a bit of character. Well, building character is something that is not as scary as all of that, and I might go into it if I get a bit more time later. Do things that help you feel a better person. That is building your character. So if you like to garden, do a bit of gardening. Make gratitude a priority. Oh, that is such a nice one, and it's such an easy one. To say thank you and mean it to other people not only helps everybody, but it also puts your brain and your mind into a positive mindset. By appreciating what others do, then you then start becoming slightly happier and warmer. Affirm personal responsibility. Take responsibility for things and don't worry if sometimes they go wrong. Things are going to go wrong. That is the world. Take responsibility and go, yeah, that went wrong. That didn't work well. That's my fault. But now I can now start making it. Once I've done that, I can then build, and I learn from that mistake. So by taking the responsibility for it, allows me to develop, which actually fits into stopping that negative cycle as soon as we can, which is something between what we call a growth mindset or a positive mindset and a negative mindset. It's very hard to switch between those two, but I'm trying to encourage you to think about the good, because then that opens you to have a chance of making it better. Okay, well that's enough of those, I think. So I'm going to go through some of those now. Acquiring skills, new skills, develop a sense of mastery and competency, both of which can be employed during challenging times, increasing personal self-esteem and the ability to problem solve. So it develops lifelong learning. So it's about acquiring or teaching a new skill. Setting a goal, the ability to take actionable steps to achieve those goals develops willpower and mental resilience. Goals can be large or small and related to a wide variety of situations. This is where using and maintaining SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound action plans really helps. Yes, knowing, understanding what it is as a cancer survivor is absolutely a fantastic one, Royston. Overcoming something like that is amazing. And being able to share that and talk about that is also really, really amazing. I mean, that is such a thing to deal with, but then to be able to see that and think, okay, that's what it was when it was horrible. Oh, this is what it's like when you actually defeat something or you stand up to something. Well, actually, those feelings are what we're trying to encourage you to see in other situations. Fantastic. Yeah. Right. Set goals. So, this is like 3 steps to improving resilience. This acquiring skills, setting goals, and then something called controlled exposure. Controlled exposure refers to the gradual exposure to anxiety-provoking situations. It helps us to overcome our fears, which in turn foster resilience, especially when it involves skill acquisition and goal setting. So if you can put the 3 together, good. So an example of this is public speaking, for which many is something that evokes fear. So set goals that involve controlled exposure in order to acquire this skill. So the first thing, consider answering a question, making a comment in a webinar, answering a question when you're in a talk anywhere. Then consider exposing yourself to a small audience of 1 or 2 people. And then progressively increase the size of the audience. So instead of taking this whole public speaking thing as one big challenge, you break it down into small, bite-sized, manageable chunks. And each one of those chunks is building slowly stronger resilience. And that's the way to have a go. Right. So, according to the American Psychology Association, there are some strategies on this road to resilience, and we've looked at some of them. We'll just refresh them. Make connections, talk to new people, strengthen connections to people who you've lost connection with. We looked at this last week in communication, confidence, and connecting. Do not see a crisis as insurmountable. At first, any crisis will seem insurmountable. But then if you stop and you look at it, you'll realize, well, it's not. I just do it step by step. Take decisive action. You don't have to do all of that decisive action in one fell swoop. You can do it step by step. We'll go back to that public speaking. By taking decisive action, we took decisive action in 1 step, answering a question. Next step, talking to 1 or 2, talking to 3 or 4, step by step. Accept change. The world is always going to change. When I grew up, we didn't have mobile phones. You used to have to go out to the telephone box. We didn't have email. The world is constantly going to change, and therefore we need to constantly be adapted. If we accept and we know that change is coming, it makes it easier. Move towards your goals. Set yourself some goals. Set yourself some targets you'd like to achieve and have a go of achieving them. It takes time to achieve your goals. Step by step is fine. Don't do it all at once. Try to nurture a positive view of yourself. Try to look at the good. Try to look at the things that you can do, because that helps you see yourself as succeeding rather than failing. There will be aspects that you do well at and aspects you don't do well at. Look at where you're doing well and transfer some of that down. But start from that, because it'll make you feel happier about yourself. And look for some areas for self-discovery. Look for areas where you can find out something, because actually when we discover something, it often really cheers us up. Okay, so one of the matching things that I'm going to now take this resilience to is resilience to deal with stress. Stress, and there are lots of other things you need to be resilient for. We're just going to have a quick look at stress now. So, what is stress? Well, I think I'm going to put that one out to you, and I'm going to ask you what stress is. Once again, knowing what it is the first step to helping to overcome it. Oh, and I echo that, Royston. Thank everybody for such lovely, kind words to Royston there. And also, it's really amazing to have somebody like Royston here, because to deal with that is such an amazing thing. Right, so I'm going to leave you with that question for a couple of ticks, which was, what is stress? And I go from my notes. Stress can be over pushing oneself. Something that I felt once or twice recently. It's my own silly fault, but very good point. Yeah, it can be stressful if you can't get things that you want, especially in the lockdown. And it can cause physical problems, and it does overwhelm our minds. Absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah, stress can happen when we can't see an answer to a problem. Absolutely true. Good comments. Great to see people getting involved. Thank you, everyone. Maybe just a tad longer, just in case another one comes. It's the fight or flight response that we have. Actually, yeah, it really does trigger that straight away, and they are linked. Fantastic, excellent comment. Okay, well, there are lots of different definitions or understandings of stress. Our fantastic NHS has lots of stuff that's really good, that is great to read through. And if you're like me, that I get to read something new, brilliant, love it. And it can happen about something little or big is absolutely true. So stress is something that everyone feels at times. And there are all kinds of stressful situations that can be part of daily life. And when we're in that stressful situation, it hits straight to this fight or flight response that we have. And trying not to take flight is really hard. Low level stress can even be helpful and motivational. High level stress is the opposite. So, stress is the body's reaction to feeling threatened and under pressure. It is very common and can be motivating to help us achieve things in our daily life and can help us to meet the demands of home, work, and family life. So it's not always bad. But too much stress can affect our mood, our body, and our relationships, especially when it feels out of control. It makes us feel anxious, irritable, and affects our self-esteem. And this is where this fight or flight steps in, and this is where the anxiety and everything just grows. So we need to be aware of the damage of too much stress, although it's not always something we can avoid. It can happen. Losing your job is stressful. The drop of income and lesser self-esteem, it is not a nice thing to deal with, and it can be very, very stressful. So we're going to look at hopefully ways that we can start to battle that. Just made a note there which I don't need. Just delete that. So, how do we deal with stress? Lovely if there was an easy answer, but there isn't an easy answer. Although actually, we do know some of the answers already. It's just we don't necessarily listen to ourselves. So, something that's massive can appear too big, too daunting, public speaking. So we split up that big task into little tasks. Each task in itself is less stressful. So what we do then is we take a big task that is quite a stressful thing to have a go of challenging. We break it down into a smaller task, step by step. Then we're changing that stress into something that is a lot smaller and something we can deal with. Challenge unhelpful thoughts. These happen all the time. And this is where this developing healthy self-talk, talk to yourself. We get these unhelpful thoughts. Well, just stop them. I can't public speak. It's not possible. Well, you can't public speak yet. And it might take some time. But why don't you have a go at talking to somebody first? Challenge those unhelpful thoughts, and then you can break them down step by step. Talk to someone. Having someone to talk to is fantastic. And don't just talk to someone, listen to someone. Where we can often really help ourselves is when we help others. If we have an experience and a life experience that we've been through that somebody else hasn't or may go through, being able to talk to that person, being able to have the person with the experience talk to the person without the experience can make a massive difference. We will all have some areas where we will have experienced things and overcome them, and we can share them with other people. And then if we help other people, it's easier for other people to help us. Talk to someone, but also listen to someone. And allow yourself some positivity. So a little success. Little successes building to big successes. This is often this marginal gains thing. The British cycling team in the Olympics followed a philosophy called marginal gains, where instead of trying to change everything. They just changed one little bit and it added 1 millisecond. But then if you then add some of those and you add a tenth of a second, then you add 4/10 of a second, then you get up to a second. Now, a second in a sprint race is massively huge. So you build it bit by bit. You're not going to change everything. You just change one little aspect today or tomorrow, then another, and eventually, once you've changed 10 things, it becomes one stronger thing. Be more active, get out, do more. It's not easy to get out and do more, but the more active we are, the more positive our body starts feeling. So it forces us into some actions. Plan ahead, he says. Plan ahead. Yeah, well, have a look at what am I going to do tomorrow? Can I get that done? If I can get it done, I will get it done. Planning ahead allows you to see a goal. Achieving that goal becomes a success, which allows you to then feel positive. I achieved that. And you can see how they all start coming together and you're making that little step. Right. So I come into the last part of that. So how do we start putting all of this together? Well, we're now going to, there's lots of clues in there about things you can try. I'm now going to go down one example, one particular route to look at. And this is the take notice, which is one of the 5 steps to well-being. Taking notice, according to Mind, which is a fantastic charity with lots of lovely stuff to read through. Taking notice means actively bringing our mind's attention and interest to the world around us and ourselves. What is going on externally to us and what is happening within us. Taking notice means being present in the moment, observing what's beautiful or unusual in the world. It also means that we can see those thoughts and be able to stand slightly outside of them to see what they are, which will help with some of the other recognizing issues and problems as they're happening. It means being aware of our thoughts and feelings as they arise without getting lost in them. It means savoring the moment, whether you're being active, connected with a friend, learning a new skill, or giving to another. So, how can I take notice? Well, what we're going to do is think about now what you can do. All of us can do. Last week we started action planning is mine typed up, because if you see my handwriting, you'll understand that's not a wise way of doing it for me. So we were looking at connecting. So this is the SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound target. So set a target to connect to someone. And in my case, it was sending an SMS text message to my brother to ask how he was doing, because I haven't spoken to him for years, ages. Well, I sent the message, something I can do. It was achievable. I know how to do that. And it was realistic. I had a phone and I had the phone number. And I gave myself a week. Well, actually, I did it the following day. He sent a message back and we had a phone call a couple of days later. And it's great to hear about how he's doing. So I started off with one step, built it up. So now I'm going to look at some examples and then set a new target. And this is something we can all do, because we can go, I achieved that. It's one little step, one success. So things that we can do to take notice. You can just put your phone down. It's really hard to do that these days. But yeah, just put your phone down for a bit. Stop being reliant on the technology. Be close to nature. Now, for some of us, that's easier than others. It depends on where you live with the current lockdown. But there is nature all around us, insects as well. Have pictures of nature around your house. The slideshow that I'm using to just have my notes on has got a picture of a sunset over the Isle of Lewis, where I used to live. And I used to love sunsets, and I still do. So I will quite often just sit out and watch the sunset, usually with a beer, in my case, non-alcoholic beer. But it's just nice to just see that happening, and you take time. Use your 5 senses to notice things. Don't just look. Taste, feel, listen. Use all of your 5 senses. Grow some herbs on the windowsill. I love herbs. Put them in all of the food. There is quite easy to do. Because they also provide some lovely smell and whenever you touch them. Lovely. Close your eyes and just notice what you can hear. Sometimes we will hear differently when we're not looking. It's surprising. Give it a go. Listen to your favorite music. Don't just have music on whilst you're doing lots of things. Stop, time out, cup of coffee, comfy chair. My comfy chair is over there. Put the music on and just listen to it. We don't really just stop and listen to music anymore, but I love it. I love listening to an album or half an album. Cup of coffee, nothing else. Beautiful. Try a new food. Have a go cooking or baking something different, which considering sometimes we're finding it harder to get to the shops, we're making more creative things. Oh, I'm going to put this with that. Oh, just have a go, see how it tastes, feels and smells. Try something new. Open the window and listen to the animals and the birds outside. I suppose if you live with a really major road, that's going to be quite hard. Although it's amazing how quieter it's become now that there's a lot less traffic. Little steps to take notice. So I could set myself a step. Now, obviously, some of them you've got to just challenge yourself to just push it just a little bit. If I said grow some herbs on the windowsill, well, that's cheating because I got a herb garden. I just take some of them inside. I'm going to listen to my favorite music because actually I haven't stopped and listened to some of my favorite albums for a while. So my target is listen to music, and it's going to be Blue Oyster Cult Cultosaurus erectus because we were talking about it the other day, and I haven't listened to it for ages. Measurable will be listen to it. Is it achievable? Yes, because I have the downloaded CD, so I can listen. And I'm going to have to make some time, which is going to be a bit hard because I've got a lot, so I will have to find. I'm going to give myself a whole hour. It's about 48 minutes, I think, the album. And it is realistic because I can do it, and I can give myself a week. So taking notice of something just allows me to just feel those positives, feel positive about myself, enjoy something. I could have chosen learn a new skill or learn a new task. I quite often, and those people who know me know that I just don't stop reading. Read a new book about a new subject. I'm terribly sad. I had a new book that just came the other day. How Learning Happens, seminal works in educational psychology. Fantastic. My definition of something that's really cool is a bit strange, but that means I'm constantly learning something new. Learning something new is gaining a new skill. Sharing that new skill is brilliant. Oh, do start reading a book. Fantastic idea. We notice something, we start feeling good about ourselves, but we can also start seeing what feeling good looks like, and it will help us identify the good and the negative. Okay, 50 odd minutes chatting. Blooming hell, no wonder I'm worn out. That's it for this one, although I'm just going to leave it open, see if there are any comments coming. A savoury pie. Pie is good. We do like pie. It's not as good as cake, but it is good. My daughter, absolutely fan of pie. Pie is brilliant. Pastry, love it. I'm going making your own pastry. That always goes a bit weird. I mean, why make your own pastry these days? It's so much easier to buy it. I'm going to listen to a few more chats, see what else comes up. Then I'm going to go grab myself a coffee, and then I'm going to do a little one as a homework helper. And I'm going to be looking at 2 little bits of homework help, which actually tie on to take notice. One of these. Do you know what, Royston? I know it's really bad, but I'll miss the Pound Bakery. And obviously, I do love the way that we have lunch provided when we run our classes. So, I miss that. It's pretty sad that. Although I am making a lot more bread again, which is pretty good. Whilst they still have flour in the shops. Yes, you can't because of the lockdown. But You might not be able to visit because of the lockdown, but that doesn't stop you then saying, I tell you what, I'll I'll arrange to have a Zoom or I'll arrange to have a Skype. I'll talk to him face to face. Wow, it's really great. Not about work, about something else. Brilliant idea. Um, yeah, make your own. If you can't get to the pound shop, I'll go baking something yourself. Whoa. Oh, we can all start sharing photos of what we baked. That'll be cool. Um, taking notice when you're actually um, baking or whatever. If we do pie or baking bread, in my case, is when you actually start feeling the dough in your hands as you move it around, and then when it changes from really sticky to a more doughy to a more consistency, you feel those changes. Um, and actually, as you feel those changes, it starts making you feel good about yourself. So this is where your senses can come in. So maybe make a pie and feel what it's like. Taste, put something different in the pie. Taste the pie, savor the pie. Cakes and pies, that's brilliant. We're going to do so much more. I'm going to. I think I've got work this afternoon. Otherwise, I think I would go and bake a pie and a cake. I might add those on there, but I've got them listen to my music today. So feeling positive is the first step. Going back and just thinking about, all right, so the more skills I develop, the more resilient I become, step by step. Okay, and then after this one, I'll be online for a little bit talking about homework help, and it's going to be on art and digital photographs. So it's another way of taking notice of things. You can just take your phone, take a couple of snaps, maybe even take a snap of something nice, like a tree, print it out, put it on your wall, nature on the wall. So this is how it's all going to time back. Yeah. Yeah. Well, um, thank you very much. I'm going to go make myself a non-stick. And then, oh, sorry, stay online, don't I? Stay online because then I go and do the talk about homework help. So I'm just going to go and make myself a non-stick. Non-stick is decaffeinated coffee. Um, please feel free to make any comments, and share a like or pull a like or share or whatever, and have a look around the channel. I'll be back soon. I need my mug. Just getting some different bits. Okay. Right, I've got myself what I call a non-stick, which is decaffeinated coffee. I have to drink decaffeinated, otherwise I would just drink too much coffee and be really bad for me. Okay, so I don't know whether we've changed them. Sometimes people leave and other people come in. So this is a homework helper. It's a bit of an idea on assisting with learning in the home during the lockdown, but also it's skill acquisition by having a go at something different yourself, which can really help with our personal health and well-being, especially in these challenging times of lockdown. So I'm going to build on taking notice, which is something I just talked about a few minutes ago. I say this morning, we're still in this morning, just, well, an hour away. So taking notice is looking at the world around us, really, really feeling what that's like, and that helps us to feel better in ourselves. It's not just feeling the world around us, it's sometimes taking notice of ourselves. So another really good way, I'm going to choose to listen to my favorite music in a comfortable chair doing nothing else. Another really way is to really pamper yourself. Have a really nice bath, a nice long soak, music, candles, book, whatever. You take notice of yourself, and it really is quite uplifting. So I'm going to look at two things quickly and make a couple of suggestions. Digital photography, and then I'm going to go on art. I'm going to come up with a slightly different look at art just for a change. Digital photography is something that is quite easy and open to us all, or you could even do real photography with a camera, is to your mobile phone. So when we go for our little exercise, we go for our walk, and if we can see any nature on that walk, then we can just take some photos of it. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just enjoy yourself, have a little walk, enjoy that air, feel what it. I mean, at the moment, today is a little bit cooler than it has been, but there's a little bit more sound as the wind is blowing through the trees. And then take some pictures of some trees. Now, this is something that you can do with your kids, and it will support art and tech and science, whatever. as well as developing that skill. Take some photos and choose what you're going to take a photo of. So if you're going to say, well, I'm going to take a photo of that tree, why you can take a picture of that tree? What is it about that tree? Notice the tree, look at the tree, and then take your photo. Have a series of photos. Maybe try to see how many different trees can I see. That's a great game with younger kids. How many different things in nature can I see? Take some photos of them. If you've got a garden, then start going out having a look for the birds, and start noticing, well, how many different types of birds can I spot or hear? Keep a little record, daily record. It's quite fun. Okay, I've seen a sparrow today. Oh, seen a blue tit today. I've seen the pigeons getting annoyed because they can't get into the bird feeders today. Whatever. Digital photography is something that's quite easy, but something we just forget about for the sake of it. So go out, have a walk, take some pictures. Come home, share those pictures. So maybe connect to a friend of yours via Skype or Zoom or whatever you use. If you do use Zoom, do look after your security on it. We've got a couple of videos on how to do that. And then you can share your pictures with somebody else and talk about them. It's connecting with somebody, it's taking some pictures yourself, and it's noticing what you're taking pictures of. It's a really easy one to help enhance your well-being. Nice, easy target. You could also just do that around the house. You start noticing things that sometimes you haven't noticed in a while. Look for the good things, not the bad things. Don't look for the cracks in the walls or the wallpaper that's coming off. Look for the smiles, look for the nice things. So we can all do a bit of digital photography. We don't need any skill. Point and shoot. If you take enough point and shoots, eventually you'll get something nice. Have a look at them, share them with other people, put them on your computer. Right, I'm going to also suggest art. Have a go sketching or drawing. I've recently just gone back to doing some sketching and drawing, and I am not particularly good. It doesn't matter. It is just enjoying the looking at something, the noticing it, and then trying to capture it on paper. You can just capture a part of it. So we have a few sheds here, so I like to try and draw the sheds. And they're horrible drawings of the sheds, but I get a little detail right. Sometimes the door looks pretty good, or the little flower pot by the side. Notice something and have a go, because when you stop to draw something, you're looking at it, you're noticing, you're thinking what it looks like, how the light affects it, and you're just focusing on something, and that's taking your mind away from other things. It's putting you into a different place. It makes no difference what the picture looks like. Sometimes you get a picture that looks really good. Sometimes you get a picture that looks awful. It's not the picture that matters. It's the time taken out and having a go. And eventually your pictures might start improving. You might start developing a skill that makes you think, oh, do you know what? I might learn some of these techniques. Techniques for how you put things into perspective. And I know quite a lot of artists, and I think I might ask one or two of them to do a little webcast on some of the basics of sketching. But just have a go. It's really quite fun. My daughter is spectacularly good at sketching, and we try to sketch the same thing. One gets a fantastic picture, one gets an awful picture, but it's a great time to spend time with somebody and to look and talk about what you're drawing. What is this? When we put things in a bowl and try to draw them, or we'll come out and draw a shed, and then we'll say, well, how did you get that, or how did you do this? You talk to each other, and you're helping people with homework, learning new skills, connecting, enjoying, and taking notice of something. Okay, now I've posted it elsewhere, but I've rediscovered this recently. I have a background in archaeology and medieval history, so I love castles, and if I can't think of anything else, then I'll draw castles. I've got pictures of castles all around this shed where you can't see. I'm trying not to show you the rest of the shed because this is the tidy bit that you can see. Just popped in our website into the chat there, and this is for Lascaux, or Lascaux, I can never say it. There's also another set of caves called Chava. Lascaux caves have a virtual walkthrough. It's a different type of art we're looking at this time. So this is cave art, very old. I'm not going to the dates and everything like that. And you can actually go on a virtual tour of the caves, which is absolutely fantastic. You might just have to choose EN for English as opposed to French, because obviously it's a French cave. And is this one working? Oh, I sent you the wrong link. And what I'm going to suggest for an activity, oh, there it is, it's working. I've got hear the noise in the background. This takes you on a virtual tour through the caves with lots and lots of interesting cave art in. I better turn the volume off. I'll just stop that. So it's not something that we're ever going to do, because these caves are now closed to the public because of the damage that flash photography was doing to them. Whoops, I was talking about photography, but that's different. So what the French museums did is they created this lovely interactive website, and you can go on this tour. So, but you can also see lots of different types of cave paintings, lots of different animals, which are what people were noticing and drawing. And what I'm going to suggest is a lovely activity. I think I've shared it onto our Facebook page. Create a cave. You can do it inside the house, putting sheets over a table, and then get some pieces of paper and pop them up and start doing your own cave art. Look at the type of, have a look at the cave. Look at the type of methods that they use to just do the animals, because everybody can have a go at this, and produce your own cave art. Do it with the kids in the garden. Fantastic fun. And it's not about fantastic pictures. It's not about superb high quality art. It's about representations of animals or things that we see around us. It's a new skill. It's fun. You learn a little bit about archaeology whilst you have a look through the cave art, through the tour. That's quite interesting. It's a slightly new skill. You'll have a go of connecting with somebody and drawing some cave art yourself. Think about what the animals that you see, like a cat or a dog, what they look like. I mean, you can still do cows, deer, elephants, whatever you want to. It doesn't matter. It's your cave. Put what you want in it. Dinosaurs, maybe. Totally different thing, dinosaurs, for an archaeologist, but let's not worry about that. This is just about having the fun of drawing. And maybe I send some samples in and we'll pop them on our Facebook page. I haven't talked to the boss about that, but hey, they can just like it. So the taking a picture, doing a bit of art, is taking notice. It's also a slightly different approach to homework and helping other people. So they might be set some particular work from school, and you might just need a bit of variety. Well, go and add some photographs to it. Go and take some pictures. Pop those pictures on the wall. Print them out if you can. If you can't, just have them on a screen and create a slideshow. Go on a virtual tour. Now, I've picked Lascaux Cave. There's also Chava Cave. There are a lot of museums now doing these, and a lot of castles doing these. Just go and enjoy it, and then do your own. Create your own cave art. Fantastic fun. Especially now, I was going to say the weather's so good. The weather's still good, but it can be better. Okay, so that's just a little short, bite-sized one today. There's also a lovely new skill you can have a go of, card making. One of our friends and tutors here, Julia, has created a little video on making cards, and that's on our YouTube page. So do feel free to go on the YouTube page, have a go, whatever. These series of videos are also to help support Hillcrest Surgery. So if there is anything that you would like to learn, ask us, and we'll see if we can put some kind of taster course, starter course to get you going. Please leave a like, leave any comments. Thank you very much. That's it for this week. I'll try to post these up on the weekend. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And thank you everyone for dropping in. We'll be here again 10 o'clock next week. I hope to see you then. Thank you very much, and goodbye. I'm just going to leave it open because obviously there's a delay between the chat. So if there is anything you want to say, please feel free to say it. But now you're likely to get me looking at lots of other things as I'm starting to do some other stuff. Thank you very much, and it's great to see you all.